With 4 simple steps, you can prevent your subordinates from making the same mistake again. Welcome to The Unnatural Leader, where we believe that leadership is a skill that can be trained and not an attribute with which we're born. I'm Andy Glenn, and today we're going to be discussing negative or adjusting feedback. Now, if you haven't already done so, I recommend that you go back and watch the video on positive feedback. There are 2 main reasons why I suggest this. The first is that this video will build on that one, and the second is that you should be giving lots of positive feedback long before you even consider giving negative feedback. Don't worry, we'll be right here when you get back. Now, when we give negative feedback, really any type of feedback, it's important to remember that we want to be behavior focused and future oriented. We don't want to discuss how somebody feels or how we think they feel because we don't actually know. So we want to only talk about concrete behaviors that we can see or hear. So it's not sufficient to say when you are in a bad mood, but what is sufficient to say is when you roll your eyes. Because we can see them rolling their eyes, but they might be in a great mood and just rolling their eyes. So we want to talk about the specific behaviors that we are observing. Now, to give the feedback, the negative feedback, we're going to follow the exact same 4-step process that we use for positive feedback. The first step, if you remember, is asking if they are in a position to receive feedback. Hey Bob, can I give you some feedback? The second step is to identify those behaviors that we observed. Hey Bob, can I give you some feedback? When you roll your eyes during Mary's presentation, that is something that we saw. We saw him roll his eyes. We know that somebody has turned in a report late. We can see that. That is an observable behavior. What is not observable, again, is, hey Bob, when you are lazy, because how do we define lazy? Well, it's probably a set of other behaviors that lead up to this mindset or this attribute of laziness. So focus on the specific behaviors when you show up late, and focus on those kinds of behaviors that we can actually pinpoint and identify. Then we go into step 3 again, which is to explain the second and the third order effects of those behaviors. Hey Bob, when you roll your eyes during Mary's presentation, it damages the relationship that the two of you have. She thinks that you're disengaged and that you disapprove of her presentation, and it makes me want to come across the table and chokeslam you. Something along those lines where we are piling on the effects of that behavior. Finally, step 4 is really going to be different from positive feedback, because in step 4 of positive feedback, we say, hey, great job, keep it up. But in step 4 of negative feedback, we want to try and get some buy-in from them by asking, how can you do that differently in the future? So again, step 1, we're going to ask if they can take some feedback. Step 2, we're going to identify the behavior. Step 3 is then going to discuss the piling on effect of that behavior and all of the second and third order effects. And then step 4, we're going to ask them to come up with a plan on how to then change that behavior. And oftentimes it would be just so easy for us to tell them the answer there, but it's not as effective, because when they have to think, even on something as simple as, I guess I won't roll my eyes during Mary's presentation, boss, when they have to come up with that themselves, it's going to be ingrained that they're going to have that buy-in significantly more, and it's going to be ultimately more effective. So those are the 4 steps for giving negative feedback. Again, very similar to giving positive feedback, and we want to make sure that we're giving lots of positive feedback first, and then we're going to give an ample amount of negative and adjusting feedback, because it's not a big deal. So keep in mind that what we're really trying to do is focus on the future and not on the past behavior, even though that's what we're using to try and change the future. By doing so, that should help us as leaders to also keep our emotions in check and not get excited, even if we are absolutely furious at our subordinate for whatever behavior it was. It does us no good to present the feedback in an excited or an agitated mindset. So we want to make sure that we calm down, present it as emotionless as possible, and one way of helping us do that is by focusing on the future impact that we want to be having, and remembering that it is about changing a behavior in the future and not trying to do something about the past. Water's already under the bridge. We're not going to change the past, but we can have an impact on the future. Okay, and so with that, I think we're going to wrap this one up. So 4 steps to negative feedback. Let's give lots of feedback, remembering that it's a lot easier to make small adjustments and many small adjustments than to try and churn an entire ship around 180 degrees long after it's set sail in the wrong direction and been going that way for hours. Okay, so that's it for negative feedback, guys. Drop us a comment, hit a like, or subscribe. Help us reach more leaders and get back out there. Make sure that you're giving lots of feedback to your directs and your subordinates to help them improve and to get them on the path that you need them to be on and get them energized and going in the right direction. All right, we will see you soon.